Good day, this is Graham Thomas here on an absolutely splendid autumn day. Was it a winter day in South Australia somewhere in the middle of nowhere? And it's going nowhere. It's going nowhere because the people in charge of the country have absolutely no understanding of the connection between energy and economics. Both are the same thing. You expand the economy by expanding the energy available. You reduce the energy available. You reduce the ability of the economy to expand. Very, very simple. Very simple. Very simple to understand. And you think with all their university degrees they would understand that basic principle of physics or thermodynamics or whatever law it is. Not the point. Just simple common sense. These people are wholly involved in crippling the country and its economic viability and causing massive unemployment for no reason. Are pretending they're involved in changing the climate or stopping a climate change. The fact is, and scientific fact, mathematical fact, geographical fact, physical fact is, Australia is not involved in climate change. It cannot be involved in changing it or preventing the change, and it is not involved in causing it. This is simple scientific fact. It's easy for anyone to understand. China is going to be making or polluting millions of tons forever up to 2070, and the Australian politicians are saying, oh, we've got to cut that out. And we get impoverished and they get wealthy. And then they say, oh, we're worried about Chinese or a security problem. No. Our politicians were telling children to fear something they can do nothing about and they're not involved with, are creating a mass delusion amongst the young for no reason other than to get these deals done with China. We take your wind generators on your solar panels and you take our coal. That's all it's all about. Anyone who imagines at all that Australia is involved with changing the climate or altering it, they should go and do a little bit of checking your facts. Do not call me a climate skeptic, because I'm ambiguous about it. It's ambivalent about it. It's one of those things, well, as an individual, there's nothing much I can do about it. All I can do is explain the actual truth of the matter, and it's not science. It's not science to be able to identify the differences between reality and what is actually bullshit. The difference is, in reality, Australia has 1.3 reducing percentage of CO2 emissions in the world, and China is 50% or increasing to 50% or more of the emissions in the world. They continued, and it's all cheered on. Everyone's, oh, look at China, they're doing really great. Even our politicians and greenies are cheering the Chinese on, who are going to add to the pollution or add to the CO2 by massive amounts. Well, our politicians and our greenies are attacking us for simply wanting to be able to keep warm in winter. That's all. Warm in winter. That's all people, basic people asking. We want to keep warm in winter. We want to be able to put the heater on in winter. Why can't we put the heater on? Well, we can't put the heater on in winter anymore because what they've done is reduce the amount of power available, because they reduced the capacity of the system to push out the power needed, or the wattage needed to feed into all everyone's heating systems in winter. So they put up the price of electricity so high that the people with less income are less likely to be able to afford the power bills. This is a massive inequality caused exactly by those people on the left who cry about equality and treat everyone equality, like treat gays equal and treat blacks and Aboriginals and Muslims equally, which is fine, I totally agree with that. But why are the same people at the same time not treating or creating an economic system that treats all people equally, no matter what the income is, when it comes to eating in winter? Forget the climate change, it's a social matter. The climate change is one matter that you can talk about and think about and look upon or believe or not believe. That's nothing to do with the price of electricity. That's a political matter, an economic matter, and a matter of accounting. Two totally separate matters. That they've joined them together like that, like electricity prices are something to do with climate change, has to be one of the greatest cons in history. Has nothing to do with it. If the climate's changing, how raising electricity costs here while we reduce our emissions, while we export massive amounts of coal to China, how is that, how are we involved in climate, reducing the effects of climate change in that? And there's no way that a politician like Bill Shorten, or if they're really committed to this climate change, they really could swear in a Bible and say we believe it, they would ban all exports of coal. But if they did that, the country would be in truly dire straits immediately. Within months, it would not be able to pay its bills. It would be broken, crippled as an economy within the shortest possible time imaginable. It would not be able to pay its debts if it did not export billions of tons of coal. It would be a cripple. It is relying on the export of more and more coal over the next 33 years, and a constant rate of export of coal for the next up 10 years after that, to be able to maintain this economy and hope they get through this rather confronting economic situation that politicians and the Greenies and left of the people in the ABC, Tony Jones and all these people, of course, they're behind this. They hate the old people, they hate the worker, they hate the nurses, they hate the policemen, everyone who's essential to society. We don't need all these other people, but with the people we need nurses, bricklayers, plumbers, or everyone essential to keep society going. They're attacking those people. They're attacking the worker, the non-worker, in these artificial employments, subsidised by the worker, are attacking like a virus those people who actually do the work and keep civilization running. It's a revolution. It's not being said it's a revolution, economic revolution. The government is now, and the elite are now attacking the worker. That's what this is about. Forget climate. Yes, let's talk about climate change in a more reasonable and rational manner without being called a skeptic or whatever and insulted, because that's not equality. That's just silliness and childishness, and shows how immature they are, all those who cannot uphold that argument, because Australia, scientifically speaking, is not involved in affecting the climate change, and that can be proved. And anyone thinks and associates Australia's emissions with the Barrier Reef, really grow a brain. It's impossible, because the amount of pollution we have is, most of that's coming from the runoffs from the rivers, if it's doing anything, and natural variation in solar temperatures. But most of the CO2 is come from China, who we are exporting coal to. And there's nothing you can do about it. God bless the Chinese for developing and looking after their country, while our politicians are not looking after our country, not looking after our people. They're basically attacking them, their economic viability and ability to hold down a job, and ability for their kids to get employed. It's that simple. So you want to vote for these Greens and these lefts and all that, good on you. But think about what you're doing to the working people, the nurses, the farmers, everyone who relies on cheap power. What are you doing to them? Have a conscience. Do some maths, do some research. How big is China? How big is Australia? What's the variations and what's the difference? Think about it. Don't believe a politician. Don't believe a politician ever. Ever. It's undemocratic to believe a politician. Undemocratic to believe those that are paid to tell you what they are paid to tell you. It's democratic to question everything do your own research, believe nothing, and stay objective and impartial. That's what democracy is based on. Self-empowerment, a bit of discipline, ignoring the ravers and the politically correct, being an individual standing for your rights to question everything, on your rights to cheap electricity in a country with the most abundance of energy in the world per capita. Thank you. It's Graham Thomas bringing you some of the truth about politics, climate change and science. Scientifically speaking, Australia is not in any way involved in climate change, and it's the easiest thing in the world to prove. So why have they ignored that? Why are they creating fear in small children? Unnecessary fear. It's a very sad day indeed for politics when this happens. Thank you. Have a good day. It's a beautiful day. Enjoy your day and don't worry about the weather. It's sweet bugger all you can do about it. You can get hit by a comet in 10 years' time. You can get hit by a comet. It's that simple. So why worry about the climate change?